Hi, my name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. I help people just like you achieve more. Have you ever wanted to learn more about mantras or struggle to understand what they actually mean or if they are important at all? Maybe wondered it's all hype or using a mantra is just some kind of new age BS. Russell Simmons, for example, has said that he does transcendental meditation. Ray Dalio has said that meditation has been one of the best choices he's ever made, or one of the best disciplines he's ever practiced. So clearly we're in a stage of life where there's apps like Headspace or 10% Happier, and we're moving to a time where meditation is being talked about in things like the Warrior's Way. So have you ever wondered, or practiced in the Warrior's Way, I should say, have you ever then found yourself in a position where you wonder if it's all BS or does it work? Or maybe you've tried Transcendental Meditation, been frustrated with your results of using a mantra. I know that when I started using a mantra back in 2012, I was just getting over a breakup, and one of the reasons I turned to meditation was to resolve some of the patterns that of falling in love, being a love addict or a codependent, like looking for the next relationship, and then going into a relationship for a year or two, and then going back to some of the same arguments and saying, well, look, here I am again, same argument, same reason it ended that it did last time. So instead of going to the same pattern, I chose to change something. I chose to go to the highest possible level I could possibly fathom. At the time, I read a book. It's called Man's Eternal Quest, and one of the essays by Paramahansa Yogananda said, your time will come, and when it does, you'll ask yourself if you made time to get to know him. I was floored. There I was in an office. Things were going good. I had a CrossFit business, a group of people I worked out with and trained. I had my own business, and evolution training was doing well, and I was flying in and out of Houston to the 956 area code, and things were going good. I was eating well. I had enough money in the bank to do what I needed to do. I was in good shape. I should have felt great. I should have felt awesome. And here it was, some of the same issues that would come up, like a relationship issue, and it sort of would taint the other successes in my life, And so I decided to commit to meditation. Now, it doesn't mean that, when I submitted my application to learn the techniques and ideas of meditation, that all my life and all the problems in my life were solved. No, there was still plenty of work to be done. As a matter of fact, it was 2012, and when I committed, one of the first lessons that I learned in the self-study program by Yogananda and Self-Realization Fellowship Church was volition. Volition is the idea that we have to push through and continue to do what we set our mind to never quit. That once we set our mind to something, to continue and see it through at all costs, through all of the challenges, through all of the many ups and downs we experience in life. And so there it was. It was 2012. I got my lesson, and the first idea was volition. I said, sure, I will have volition. And I knew it was a big concept, because if you really take a moment to think about what volition is, I knew it was a big concept, this idea, this word, volition. Volition at all costs, at all, even if it's in another lifetime, for example, even if it's in another lifetime, come back and continue the quest for God. Volition, to seek God with complete and total volition. Steadfastness, continued focus. And it was a profound first lesson. It was a great place to start, right? Because if you think about it, that is what it takes to achieve anything. Complete and utter relentlessness. I remember going to a chapel nearby my house, and I started meditating. I started my meditation, and I remember praying to God so deeply and wanting to make such a breakthrough that I remember that meditation being pretty profound. I remember that meditation being pretty profound. I remember in a way feeling like I was surrounded by a golden energy, in myself. I felt like it was an awakening to a golden energy. Now, not all my meditations have been that deep. That was one of my first meditations was maybe one of my deepest ever. And perhaps it was because I had a broken heart at the time, and I felt like I really needed God to soothe me. And there was a miracle of sorts that God did. He soothed me. He helped me work through that deep pain of heartbreak, and likely because I reached out to him and really demanded and searched for and had faith that he would make an impact in my life at that day, at that time. And again, not all my meditations have been that powerful. Soon, there was a mantra, the mantra Hong Sa, that was part of the lessons. And I was to say this mantra in my mind as I meditated. So when I would breathe in, internally I would say Hong. As the breath would come out, I would say Sa. And one of the tips was to use like your finger to tap raise your finger and then tap your hand, Sa. So raise it, and then tap your hand, Sa, right? To keep track of where you were in the actual breathing and the technique. And to be quite frank, I don't recall that. I remember those moments and those days to be mysterious of sorts. I remember feeling a type of shift within, not necessarily knowing, was it the mantra? What did the mantra do? What was the mantra actually doing? And I carried on. I actually didn't succeed very well for another 2 years. It wasn't until, because I had actually repeated my cycle. There was a woman that was interested in me, and, again, I was coming from a place of complete lack of clarity, and as much volition, as much as I said, this is it, I'm going to change my life for the better, I'm going to give my life to God, it didn't work out that way fully. That my intention was there, my prayers were there, my heart was there, yet my body and my old patterns just were not going to let me. Like I said, I think that, and that's the pattern of addiction, right? That's something that in the Warrior's Way we talk about, how the pit shows itself again. It's not going to be an easy, no matter what, you conquer it at all costs. The pit will show itself. The pit shows itself to me every other day or so. Things from my past, habits from my past, ways to sedate. Those things show itself in subtle forms. Maybe not as much as they did in the past, but they still show themselves, right? It's like, it's not 100% breakaway 100% of the time. There is 100% of the breakaway, maybe 80, 90%, 99%, 97%, but it's not 100% breakaway from our old habits and patterns that hold us back, the sedations, the placations, 100% of the time. It's likely not going to be that way for anyone. Maybe if you're a very unique, blessed, miracle, talented individual that is superior in your performance, I think that is possible. But again, we're talking about a very small percentage of a person. Going back to the mantra. So 2 years passed, and one of my mentors, Neil Strauss, in the society, we talked about how establishing value systems. Mike Mandel is a hypnotherapist, and he talked about value hierarchy systems. Now, value hierarchy systems is something we went through the method of finding what it is that we're chasing after. For example, one of the things that we talked about was, okay, what do you want, Jacob? And I said, well, to live on the beach. Well, why do you want to live on the beach? And well, because it's beautiful. Why do you want to be around around the beach? Well, because it would make me feel at peace. Why do you want to feel at peace? Because that's what I think life's about. And then the more you follow that thread, it was like enlightenment was the value I was after. And so, enlightenment being the value I was after, I began meditating. I started a 60-day meditation practice. This time, actually achieving 60 days. And it will start out with 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, then 30, then 40, and I made a breakthrough. I made a breakthrough. 60 days of consistent meditation, and that's with traveling, etc., etc. And I made that breakthrough. I wrote a book called Your Divine Romance, Bold Action, Meditation, and Pure Love, during the time and after the process of those 60 days. Now, it wasn't the end all be all then still, there was some months that went by that after those 60 days where I didn't fully meditate fully. And then I went back at it again in 2015. And in 2016, I made the biggest breakthrough. I decided to hunker down and just start the meditation once again. And I started using the mantras. I started doing the lessons and reading them. And again, this is 4 years after the fact. It is actually 10 years after the fact I decided to try. So this is how powerful our patterns and the pit is, our sedations, our placations are. This is 10 years after the fact. When people say I can't meditate, I actually don't worry about it. It took me 10 years from the time I decided to do it to actually do it. 10 years. So that's why we talk about it so much, because it's an idea that it's pretty challenging to sit down and meditate, and let alone use a mantra for years on end. And so if you're struggling with a mantra, don't feel so unique. Don't feel so like that's just you. Most people feel like meditation doesn't have a payoff. There's things that go on in our head. Like some of the first thoughts I thought about when I sat down is, I wonder what's on TV. I'm missing out. Or I wonder what my girlfriend's doing. Maybe she's talking to some other guy, or you know what I mean? Like there's all types of insecurities and doubts and weird thoughts that come in, or this is a waste of time. I can't do this. This is bullshit. Maybe I should just not meditate. Maybe I should just, sit here. Maybe I should not try. Maybe what is this weird feeling I'm feeling in my stomach and in my head? What is this weird vibrations that I'm feeling? Like there's all types of weird thoughts, okay? That typically I experience, and I'm sure people like yourself are going to experience when you meditate and you say a mantra or you do transcendental meditation. Especially if you're a Westerner, maybe if you were like North American, right? And maybe if you're born in a Buddhist temple or something, it could be easier for you. But in any case, over time, since 2016, did really good with my practice. In other words, far better than comparing to myself. In comparison to myself, not to a Buddhist master or anything like that. In comparison to myself, I did really well. In 2017 and 2018 has been even some of my deepest meditations. And the mantra, so to tell you a little bit about what I wrote this today. So this is what I found is the mantra. This is what the mantra means. I wrote this today. To give you an idea, it says the mantra, Om, the mantra. The mantra in my experience is, and I wrote this right after meditation. So I just meditated. This is written right after. So it's fresh out of the oven. The mantra in my experience is a lot like a hammer and chisel. It chips away at layers of ego and anxiety. Little by little, a person begins to feel better. The baggage, the hurt, the fears begin to fall away. A mantra allows a person to feel their soul's presence. One could say their actual DNA. Why would I share this? Because the kingdom of God, you realize in your heart, is felt by all of us. In other words, it's highly unlikely that after months and years of meditation, you would experience your inner soul as chaos and hate. Again, you're more likely to experience peace and love. So logically, if that is what you uncover deep within, it's safe to say that is what you are. You are peace and love. Om. Jacob Adams. P.S. In my meditation, I felt that the Om unveils a kingdom of bliss. in meditation, I have found that sometimes that Om, and it sort of uncovers this bliss vibration that is around you right this very second. It's a mantra, Om. Now, again, as I say that, I wouldn't expect you to simply start by chanting Om within your mind and just, you know, you understand what I just said there about it unveils a kingdom of bliss. Like, it's like a hidden kingdom. You can't see it with your eyes, but once you sit down and meditate, you could say your third eye can begin to see it and feel it. How that's a kingdom, it's a hidden kingdom of bliss. Okay. Now, again, these are esoteric secrets. Like, it's not like I didn't read that. That was an experience, is what I'm getting at. And I'm sharing it with you here so you can understand that 10 years after I decided to meditate, I committed to meditate, and then 2 years later, I'm barely meditating 60 days. And then after those 60 days, I stopped, and then it took another year before I was like very committed. And here we are 2-3 years later, and now the fruit is coming to the surface. Now I'm making a video writing about mantras, right? So do you understand what I'm saying? It's not like I've taught 500 yoga classes. I've done yoga classes, and I wrote a book on meditation. And so after enough focus, I could say that and feel those things. And naturally, you know, we think about when we were kids or growing up, or, you know, the 90s or the 2000s, you know, mantras were considered kind of hokey, like Om, right? And so now we can understand there's actually something to it. There's actually, the mantras are coming to the surface here as something that Russell Simmons, Ray Dalio, people that we respect actually do transcendental meditation. So in any case, find your teacher, maybe try your own, try videos on YouTube. I actually went to Self-Realization Fellowship Church is who I got my lessons from, and that's a great resource. But I'm not here to promote any one way to get your mantra or your practice. The way you choose it or find it is up to you. So find that, commit to your practice, and actually begin the process. And one day you could likely have your own experience and stories to tell and share with the world and the people that you love. Naturally, your egotistical aspects or your, you know, know-it-all self might say, yeah, this guy's bullshit or whatever. Like, naturally, I would have suspected. So you can only put it to the test to see if it's real, and from there decide on your own. These are not some other person's conclusions. People don't call me up and make sure that my mantra and transcendental meditation is actually working for me ever. I'm probably going to call the Self-Realization Fellowship Church today to make an appointment to apply for a deeper level of practice in Kriya. So I'll have to make the call myself. So no one calls me, no one's going to call on you. It's a personal, very personal practice. And yeah, so just keep in mind that you might resist this message or these ideas because the mantra is designed to overcome that which holds you back. So naturally, that which holds you back would not like this message on some level. It's a subconscious truth that you probably aren't very comfortable with hearing if you have no experience with mantras. You might think it's all BS. That's why I'm making the video. In any case, love to hear what you have to say. Love to comment below any questions you have, ideas. This is Jacob Adams. We'll see you next time. Bye.